What's going on, guys? Travis with REC Garage, and in this video it's going to be a little compilation of videos between a bunch of different dates because I am going to put this tool together and it's going to take a while, and I really want to put it in one video, and that tool is a power hammer. That's right, I finally got a power hammer. Right now it's just pieces of a power hammer, but this is a fabricated power hammer. It is not a cast power hammer. It's not an original anything. Well, it's original Steve Shepard creation. So, any of you who know, oh my God. Any of you who know Steve Shepard, you know that he makes his own metal shaping equipment, and they are really nice. So this is a lower fabricated arm, and that is the top that's already welded. I just tacked these pieces on here to get this whole assembly one piece, just so I don't have to mess around with it. And I have some extras. These are plates that I need to bend to, say, go around this radius. This inner radius here I need to make, and this little one here I have to make. So I got all these little pieces here. Also got one piece of the base, actually three. I don't know what I can use those for, but I might use them for something. I got pieces for the outriggers, tighten them down to kind of tension the hammer. So this is the upper arm. I don't want to move this stuff yet. So see, that's why I don't want to move this stuff. Okay, so you see it's all welded together. It's got the motor there with the motor plate. That's all aligned. I do have the shaft that the motor connects to this piece here. I don't even know what to call this. But he is actually helping me out and milling the keyway in there, get me a Lovejoy connection, and a couple other plates that are missing. As you can see, the plates to mount this to the whatever stand I make isn't here, but he's making those for me, and also making this plate here that holds the anvil, that holds the dies. So if you can imagine, the anvil will sit here and then a die on top of it, and you put your sheet metal in here. So, and then this whole deal moves up and down in this carriage here with the spring and everything. So he made this out of I'm probably going to butcher what he did, but he made this out of a Mittler Brothers kit, but kind of re-engineered everything to be a lot better. Like, for instance, this plate here with the dovetail that everything rides on, that was just steel from Mittler Brothers, and you welded it onto the arms. So if that ever wore out, you kind of shit out of luck, I guess. The spring had like no preload on it, so he fixed that, and they didn't have these bronze or brass spools here. He made those. I don't know, there's a bunch of other things he did, and obviously engineered the upper and lower arms. He has one of these already made for himself, and I use that machine, and to me it seems like it runs like a Cadillac. Like, it's really smooth. So I'm kind of excited to get this going. So he doesn't sell any machinery. Well, he did, because he sold one to me, but he makes everything for himself. I just got lucky because he made one and it came out perfect. He loved it. He wanted to make a second one. So he started making a second one, and then pretty much, I don't know, 80% of the way there, he got a good deal on a Pettingill number 2 original. So he decided to make a stand for that one instead. So now he has his fabricated hammer and a Pettingill number 2 in his shop, so he can have shrinking dies in one, like low crown dies in the other one. So there's no need really for this one. He could have 3 set up, but that's kind of overkill, I think. But I don't know. I didn't ask him his reasons why, but that's kind of what I assume. I can double check and write it down here if I'm correct. So now I have to make a base and kind of finish this off, which is not too big of a deal. He's making a lot of pieces for me to make it easy to actually finish it off. He didn't feel real good about selling a kit like this that the pieces weren't finished. What I really have to machine is a couple spacers that go in between all this stuff here, because you gotta have the spacing in between everything here, even from here to there, in between here and here, perfect. So this goes up and down nice and easy. It's not tweaked to the side, because that'll unevenly wear everything in here. So I just gotta figure out those. Once it's up and in place, I'll get those done. I need to get a controller for it. It's just a VFD, and the base, of course. So what I'm thinking on the base, some kind of glulam beam or an LVL beam laminated together with a steel bottom base on it. I don't want to have a steel base. I think it looks better with the wood on it, and the old power hammers were mounted on the center wood beams in the old factories, so I kind of want to pay homage, I guess, to that and have it mounted on some wood. So I'm having a friend, I think, make me that. I asked 3 friends about it. One hasn't got back to me. The other one runs a really big fabrication shop, and I think he's going to be a little pricey for me because I'm really cheap. And the other friend, my dear friend Ken, and I think he's going to help me out, make it for me. All I got to do is pay for the supplies. I'm going to try to pay him for it, but we'll see what happens there. But so that's taken care of, and then just the metal part that the wood will slip into the big giant beam. Because the arm's just bolted by through bolts, giant through bolts, and a plate on the backside to kind of hold everything. I don't know. That's about it. So this is not light, and it's not kind of awkward. And I have frames in the way. So when I got this yesterday, this was not together. Every piece was there, but it's tab and slot for most of this, besides these radiuses. Little guy here, this one here. So I just welded 2 little tacks on each tab and slot as I saw necessary, just to kind of get it tacked together. I did weld a few corners like that just to kind of keep it together while I was lining everything up. It was hard to get this square to these and weld the underside of the tab and slot that was on the table. So some of it I had to put a couple tacks there and there. But now I think I'm going to put more stitches like that. I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe 2 inches apart, just to kind of get it welded a little more. Then who knows if I got time. I don't have too much time tonight. So maybe when I have time, sometimes on lunch, I'll put a few more beads on it, and maybe eventually it'll be all welded up. right, so that is it for tonight. Just put a couple stitch welds 4 inches apart. You saw me measuring. You really don't need to, but it just looks nicer when someone sees it. These smaller ones, I couldn't really do that, so I just did one on each end. But they came out pretty good. It's kind of hard to tell, but coming right along. If I make progress like this, it'll be done in no time. Not that I really did too much, but today I got the whole arm pretty much fabricated, other than the plates that I don't have. The plate there, plate here, and this guy. So, you know, we're getting there. Slowly. But pretty exciting. This is going to be a big honking piece of machinery. Not as big as that thing, but heavy duty indeed. All 1/2 inch plate. I think 3/8. I don't know what it is. Yeah, 3/8. Sorry, 3/8 plate. So still pretty thick. But I think the flanges on the back are 1/2 inch. So this is a 1/2 inch plate. That's a 1/2 inch plate, and so is this guy here. But I'll find out when I get him. He should have them done this week, and he said he's going to drive them down to my place, so that's nice of him. Back on the power hammer. Just ended the video where I put the plug in, and I put the plug in, obviously, for the power hammer. So I can weld the power hammer. I got the plates from Steve. He machined out the plates to mount this to the upright and to mount my anvil to the lower arm, or this. So, and I got my foot pedal in, and my VFD should be in tomorrow. He also machined the keyway and got me a Lovejoy connection. He just wanted to make it right. Whoops. He wanted to send it off most of the way there. And most of the not heavy machining, but like most of the machining done before it goes to me, because I don't have a mill at my place, unfortunately. Don't have enough space for it. But he hooked the brother up, so the shaft is now good. I can install it and connect it to the motor and everything. I don't know if I'm going to do that yet, because it's going to be a lot of picking up and putting down. So might not do that, but I might, just to see if dry fit it. Good test fit. So yeah, tacked up the plates. Everything is tacked up as you saw before. Yeah, nothing too crazy here. I also got my anvil stock. So I'm probably going to, what am I going to do with this? I'm going to lay it out. Lay out where it needs to be cut, because it needs to become like a pyramid with, it's going to end up being a 4x4 on the top here, with a dovetail cut into it, so all the dies and wedges can slide into it. So this is not a die, this is what the dies go into on the bottom. So this is the lower anvil, and I guess you would call this the upper anvil. I guess that's what I'm calling it. So might lay this out a little bit, rough layout, just to kind of see what it's going to look like and where I need to cut it on a bandsaw. I need to take it somewhere to be cut, because my bandsaw only goes up to like 4.5 inches. So this 6 inch by 6 inch by 6 inch square is not going to fit in it, and it's going to take literally forever to cut, and probably cut crooked. So I'm going to need a horizontal bandsaw so I can set this up, clamp it in, and just set it on a real slow setting and just cut. So let me lay it out now. The top, obviously, like I said, 4x4 square, and then it's going to stay 6x6 for an inch or so, and then taper up to that 4x4. So all 5 sides are getting coated in Dykem, and then I'm going to lay it out. So it should be pretty simple. So let's go do it. So I don't know if you can see. There it is. So this is the square that's going to stay. These are all getting cut away on that angle. Cut down, and you see the last inch on the bottom is going to stay, and then come up to an inch in, and this should be bang on 4 by 4. There it is. So that's what we're working with. I don't exactly know where the dovetail is going in the center. It might be directly in the center. Not too sure. Steve would know. I got to text him about it and ask him. But I need to find someone with a bandsaw first so I can get this beast cut. So right now it's laid out as far as I can do it right now, because I'm not taking a hacksaw to this. I need a place with even just a mill will work fine. I wish I still worked at TE right now. I'd bring this right in. I'd even do everything. Do the dovetail and cut the whole thing up. But, you know, I don't have access to CNC machines and Bridgeports and lathes anymore. Wah, wah, wah. It's all good though. I work on hot rods and stuff. So I didn't realize how much of a time jump there was in the progress of this hammer. So Ken ended up getting me this post. It's a solid 18 by 18 piece of wood. I really don't know what it is. I honestly think it's just pine. Instead of the glue lamb or some kind of LVL beam, we just went with a solid piece of wood. Here he is cutting the recesses for the plates on the arms.
Reference musical interest through what you listen to driving in the parents' car or something, right? You know? I'm wondering if that's the crazy shit that I put my son through. I wonder how that'll translate into it later in life. You know, this is. Sense for how long this is gonna take.
Shouldn't be too much.
Yeah.
Too thick, you know? I can't even tell. If you get tired, let me get after it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's getting gummy. So that's the bottom. What was that from, you think? The us and the saw?
Yeah.
Yeah, but everything else is nice and flat.
Yeah.
Figure it out. So what do you want to do here?
Let me take this one out, right, and then stand it up from that end.
Should we bring it? Well, we can't be in the light to stand.
Yeah, right. So we can either.
Should we go here?
Yeah. Yeah, less walking.
And brings it out so we can. Oh, but that's too far out. Because it's gonna hit the.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can just use a pry bar and shimmy it, like move it back. Is this what we do? Grab that air jack. I want to use that.
You get under it, right?
Yeah, just lift it up and, you know, we can get a little bit higher without using our...
Yeah, breaking our back, right?
Yeah.
came up with here. You know?
This?
Yeah, I think that's smart. That'll give us how high will that go?
15 inches?
Yeah, that's good to get, like,
Yeah.
we're not
And we can also, like, put jack center or something under it, move it inboard 15 inches, inboard 15
Can we get
inches.
more leverage?
Yeah.
So
I just want to see how. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, when I lift up, pull the rod out and slide that on.
Okay, got it. Yep.
1, 2, 3. Okay. Now just get some air.
So you were able to hump that thing up, it wasn't too bad?
No, it wasn't that bad. Wouldn't want to do it all day, but.
It's super cool.
Okay. So I'll get a jack stand, put it on the end,
Yeah.
and we'll bring it in more. Can that one go away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like what we got going on.
Right?
Yeah.
We're trying to use our heads.
In the center? Yeah. Do you need to balance it at all, or do you need to help balance
I don't know.
it? I think it's time for me to move,
Yeah. Okay. I just don't want to move. Maybe do one side. And the other. There it goes. Yes. Okay. Wow, it's up.
right? Yeah, come on, baby.
Now we should get moving. I have some lights, so right there. Let's put these 4-8 things in first. Yeah, man, it's up. Wow, that looks so much better when it's up.
Yeah. Super cool. It looks the part too, doesn't it?
I think I can put the bottom arm on, and I don't think it's gonna fall over. And we'll know
Yeah.
right off the rip if it's gonna fall over.
Yeah, we will, right?
If it's too much
I
weight.
feel like it's low enough. It won't be.
That's what I'm thinking. There's not much. There it is. Okay, let me get the hammer and I'll get a nut. Need you on it. Oh, actually, that's all right.
Fit into this joinery pretty awesome, huh?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Happy.
Alright, so let's put the rest of the rods in.
Uh-huh.
What a visual with that on there, isn't it? Where are the nuts?
Right there in this big bag.
Oh, got it.
These are going in pretty well.
The brace,
I don't want to jinx it,
but the brace really gives you a sense of the mass of this thing, you know? Well, I'm glad we put this. Seeing it on there makes me feel a little bit better, like, not better, but more accomplished, you know?
Yeah.
It's exciting to see it on.
Too excited, so I'll paint it on.
This thing is huge.
Gigundous. But I'm glad I went with the 18 by 18.
Yeah, I thought that post was too big when we ordered it, but I was like, okay, you know. It's the right size.
Yeah, for sure.
If that was 2 inches smaller, I don't think it would be as safe. But you knew what you needed. You know, I was just like, man, that's a big post. You know,
And like when you come in, it just looks right. And it's like you come in now. Once this thing is assembled, it's gonna be like, wow, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
He must do some serious work.
Yeah.
That's what I want people to think.
Well, I don't know that there's really any salesmanship required there. You know.
Yeah, you see this, and you're like, okay, how much? Take my money, actually, not that much. Then it would have to be.
I'm so pleased. Yeah.
I would love it here.
Yeah.
But I don't think.
Yeah.
I'd have to use the wall to hold it.
Yeah.
And if that's not heavy enough.
Yeah. I'm so pleased with that bottom cut.
It's nice.
Travis.
Nice and flat.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I was afraid of.
Yeah, well, it's something that's typically a problem.
Because even the sawmill, like, didn't quite cut it.
Yeah.
Straight.
That guy you have cutting the wood, he's not that bad. He's pretty good with that stuff. You know? He takes his time.
Yeah, the guy doing the door, too. I said I had some doubts while he was doing the thing.
And the door goes crashing down.
But he always pulls through.
He's just late most of the time. Incredibly late. All right, we want to move this guy to the wall.
place. I mean, nice and easy with this leverage. That's right, he has a wall.
Yeah, we're there.
Okay. Is this not flat? Or is floor not flat?
They might not register to one another. You know what I mean? Your floor likely pitches to the.
So I'm going to have to shim the bottom of this?
Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but yeah, your floor is likely not level.
All right, so working on the power hammer again. Ken's on his way with the wooden legs that go underneath the lower arm. Hopefully that's going to stabilize it and kind of get rid of the need to secure it to the ground or the wall and so forth. So I'm also going to incorporate this Vivor plasma cutter into the build. They sent this over for me to test it out. So we're going to get going on this, open it up, testing it out, because I need to make some sort of holder for the wooden legs so they don't just slip right out of this. Watch what you're doing, buddy. So I'm pretty much going to make a shallow upside down box so the legs will sit in there, and I'll weld it or bolt it, probably weld it with a few tack welds to the lower arm here. So let's open this up, try to give it a whirl. I'm not super familiar with plasma cutters. I've used them a handful of times, but I've only used one of the ones, it had like a mini compressor inside of it, so I didn't need to attach it to air, and it wasn't that powerful. So this might be a different story. I'm not too sure exactly how much this can cut, but that's why we have it, to find out.
Ooh, it's light.
Thing does not weigh a lot at all. Gas, what does that even mean? Okay. Oh. So it's, first off, the thing is super light, which is nice. The other one I used was very heavy. Okay, here we go. Plasma cutting machine. Got some fittings, some hose. Business end. adapter for 110. All right, first things first, let me figure out how to set this machine up.
Tiny little ground wire. This might be a little too small. It's cute, I guess, that's what you want to call it. Cute! Alright. What's all this? What's all this? Junk. Bunch of screws and stuff. Okay, this is what I'm interested in. This guy here. The tip looks like it's on. Yeah, okay.
There's a USB port in the front here. I don't know what the heck that's for. I guess I'll try and find out in the directions. Let's use some of this because that would be a smart thing to do here. Remember to put this stuff on the correct way, because if you do it like I just did the wrong way, you'll be undoing it as you're threading the fitting on. I always gotta like check myself when I do this. Wrap it around the left. No, did I just do it wrong again? I think I just did it wrong. Like an idiot. I told you guys don't do it wrong, and I do it wrong. Well, I guess I did it right because it's not undoing itself. Alright, so I'm going to walk you through the regulator quick. Gives you a bracket. This nut is on here. So you take this nut off, put the bracket on, and it goes on these two studs right here in the back. So that mounts there. Then out. So in comes your air from your compressor. Out goes into the gas. So you'll make a small little loop around hose that attaches to here from there, and then the supplied gauge will screw in this middle here. This shouldn't be crazy tight. Can I get it around one more time? Yeah, I can do that. Okay. All right. See the pressure's right there. I hope that's PSI. Okay, well, it's not PSI. So KGF CM2 MPa, maybe I'll have to do a conversion. Well, that kind of sucks. That should be in PSI. What's the front say? The front says PSI, but the supplied gauge is not in PSI. So that's kind of a bummer. And I think I'm going to turn the regulator fully off so I don't break it, because I'm not sure this regulator can hold. Like, see what happens when we plug this bad boy in. Okay, make sure we're watching if anything blows up. Cool. Let's look up this PSI to KGF. 3.5 is 50 PSI. Let's see. So my safety squints. I know I need some green or yellow lenses, but this will be fine for a second. Actually, you know what? Welding mask will be fine. Wide stance, I don't want to burn my shoes. Let's go test it out. It is working. Look at that. Cool. Let's try something here. Let's get artistic with it. This thing works pretty good. Just gotta get used to it. Let's try something a little thicker, you know? Well, it definitely cuts it. You do get some slag, but that's kind of normal. Let's try 40 psi. See how different that cuts. And a little bit more pressure. Oh, I let the trigger up too soon. All right, stop messing around. Cut what we actually need to cut.
So you went on, you did the car thing with Tim, right? What a cool thing to do, right?
Yeah, and next Saturday I'm gonna go to the wife's house, who's still alive, and get the 29 Phaeton and the coupe with the Riley conversion in it.
Yeah, I think it's nice.
Yeah. There's going to be a whole thing where you're going to take the Phaeton down off the jack stands and put wheels on it and stuff, so it's going to be kind of cool to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Use a hand drill.
It's been a while, it's awesome.
Oh, that's just...
So it does a burst.
Break down, yeah.
So you can cut like, I don't know, a piece of steel for frame or something like that, like 1/4 inch iron or something.
It says 14 mil steel, so that's it's more than 1/2 inch.
Wow.
It's probably about 1/2 inch I can cut with that.
And does that plug into 110?
It can, yeah. It has a little adapter to it. So right now I have it on 110, and I just cut quickly this 1/4 inch plate, and I started cutting a little bit, but I ended too soon, so it's still holding on.
So you can put a chalk line on the steel and just follow it.
Yeah, I'm not good.
Did you wear the same helmet you would welding?
Yeah, you can just wear like those green tinted ones, but you gotta do something like that. I also want you to quickly, if you get time to.
Well, I figure that goes up as you tighten it, right? You know?
Yeah, and there is gonna be a plate. Now let me get the plate that was on. That's there. Oh.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Probably needs to go up anyway. What size is that?
It's fun putting that roadster together. Quickie.
Like that.
It's fun.
Stuff like that's really fun. Marking stuff up.
Yeah. Becomes a car in no time. Here we go. It's already tightening up and going up. Take one. So, you know, it's super cool, but there's like not the people that care about that stuff is pretty small, you know? Like if it was a
Like you.
yeah, like me, like I care about that, right? You know? But that's not a big group. You know? Can you loosen it a little bit? Or? Oh, hold on. You don't need to loosen it.
No.
I can do this.
We're making headway on this thing. Posts up, legs are up. It should not tip over anymore. Not that it really did tip over, but once I put the weight on, it definitely would. So hopefully this is the solve for that. I'm gonna make a catch for this wood here. Should be easy enough. Just gonna use this plate and just, you know, figure it out. Get some measurements and, you know, do all that happy stuff. Weld a piece here, down here, the other side. I don't know how far I want to go. This side does need some extra movement in case we need to adjust it. Not much though, honestly. It's pretty simple, honestly. So I'm gonna go get into that. Hopefully use the plasma cutter to cut all this stuff. I just want to make sure this can cut straight lines, so I'm gonna set up a fence, I guess you would call it, to guide the plasma cutter down. See if we can get some really nice cuts. I'll go slow, give the machine everything it needs to perform correctly. Alright, so I got the hammer assembled, arms bolted up. I do need to mess with this hole here. It's not quite lining up with the hole we drilled. Shouldn't be a problem, just kind of hit the bottom of the hole quick. I'm not going to cut these studs yet until I have run the hammer. But yeah, I had to make a little washer spacer for this to bump it out a little bit. It wasn't running totally true. It is now looking really good. I do need to add 3.5 inches of space under this. I could have accounted for it to be perfect, but then I'd have no adjustment if I made, say, like a funky set of dies one time that needed more space. I wouldn't have the option for more room, so I opted to put more room than I needed. So, almost there. Ken's legs are looking good. So yeah, that's it. That's the beast. So hopefully I can get this this motor wired, hooked up to the VFD I have, get my foot control attached to it, and get a big long whip so I can plug it in over there. I wanted the hammer over there, but you can see how big this machine is. It just would not be, it wouldn't be fitting over there. It kind of come out too far and I wouldn't be able to do what I do here. Sheppy likes the English wheel. Look how small the English wheel looks compared to all these machines now. Giant stuff here. So I'm going to, yeah, gotta get those spacers made up. We'll disassemble the thing again. Not take it off the post, but take the head and the business end off. Paint all this. Yeah, we should be rocking and rolling. Do you like it, buddy?
In the house, watch Mickey.
Oh, you don't care? You want to go in the house and watch Mickey? Yeah. Okay. Alright, just left Lowe's. They didn't really have anything I needed. Might have to get stuff through an electrical supply shop. I did end up getting a big wrench. So the nut on the top of the power hammer is it's very big, and I have to use some channel locks and, you know, a pipe wrench, whatever the heck I can use to get on there. And it seems like every time I tighten it, I slip off and whack my knuckles on the spring. So I figured might as well remedy that with the correct wrench. I drilled and tapped and put this Zerk fitting here, so the bearings on each side get lubried up. I took the business end off of the crank here, drilled and tapped for a grub screw here, so this does not spin off. Oh, I also switched these out. These were little grub screws. They were too short. I had to get longer ones, but my hardware store didn't have longer ones. The longest ones I had were the size that were in here, and I needed to put the lock nuts on them, so I just got button head cap screws. They clear everything, so that'll work for now. And I really don't mind the look of it. So I got these 4 spacers from the steel place. 2 are 1/8 inch and 2 are 3/16. And I have a buddy of mine making another couple spacers. There's a 2.5 inch and a 1/2 inch spacer. Just so I got options. I can take stuff out, put stuff in if I make funky dies. So that should all be here. And then I need to take a trip back up to Steve's place and have him machine a dovetail in this anvil here, so it will accept the lower die like this guy. So that's what we got going on here. It's almost done. I got Well, I just need, really, I could get this running pretty soon. Alright, so I don't know if I've ever greased anything. I don't think I have. Oh, I think I have. I don't remember. So, I got no idea what I'm doing. Remove plastic cap from the end of the grease cartridge. Ugh. Open end first goes in. Push the grease cartridge into the barrel until the rim of the pull tab end contacts the rim of the barrel. Got it. And remove the pull tab seal from the end of the grease cartridge. Ooh, gross. Reinstall the barrel to the head cap. Tilt tight. Tilt tight, then loosen up a quarter turn. What the heck is that about? It's weird. Pull back on the rod to press the thingy. Push rod back in the barrel. This should expel any trapped air. Tighten the head cap. Pump it till grease flows. It's a new gun, so it's probably going to take a while. Sheesh. New grease guns, man. Should be coming out by now. This is ridiculous. Anything broken? What the heck is this? What's up with this? Problem. Gun will not dispense. Grease cartridge, barrel is empty. No, it's not. Air is trapped in the head. Slightly loosen the head from the barrel. Push the rod handle to expel trapped air. Retighten the head. Should be easy, right? It's a grease gun. Any monkey can use this thing, right? Except for this monkey. Jeez. Really? What's going on here? Now it feels like something. Hey, there it is. It was air in the system. 20 minutes later, so I followed the directions, but I didn't do the directions correctly. So now let's grease this thing up. All right, guys, big news. Big news happening. So, you saw me messing around with the VFD and the motor, trying to get it running. So what was going on? I couldn't get the motor to spin the way it should. So I got it to spin. It would spin slowly, and then as it crept up with the RPMs, it would start slowing down. So that made no sense to me. Everything I tried, I was going to the parameters, changing things, not random things, I was looking it up and seeing what it did. And I couldn't get anything to work. And I was talking to Steve, and he said something about parameters. And I'm like, I looked at parameters hundreds of times. I looked back through it, and I saw something for the frequency. What was it called? It's right here. Parameter number 12 is motor rating frequency. So you're supposed to set the frequency of your motor in the machine, and I did not. It was set at 400 hertz, and this is a 60 hertz motor. So that's why it wasn't working. I changed it to 60 hertz, and what do you know? I turned the thing on, and it spins great. So I'm gonna go back in there and move around the parameters that I messed with, that I know I can set back to 0, and we'll be fine. I'll do it one at a time. Make sure if that makes it not work, I'll change it back. But everything should be all set, and I'll show you how it goes right now. So right now, I'm using the plug for the Pullmax, and I actually stole the lead off of the Pullmax because it was so long to hook this machine up. Poor Pullmax. I'm gonna go get a male side, the same thing as this one, to plug into here, well, to wire into here so I can have my Pullmax again. But I feel like this is a long enough lead for a machine, and that one has a long one too. So I think I'm good for both machines. So, okay, you hit go. So that's cool. And Steve also pointed out that I should have some kind of seal here, and apparently here, and maybe even here. I'm losing some the grease that I put in there. So there's some tweaking to do, but you know, I'll get it handled. Excited. It's very exciting. All right, so I gotta find a solution to the grease not flying out of both of these bearings. Also this little guy here. So, take an old glove, because I know leather washers work pretty good. So let me make some washers out of this, hopefully. Hopefully it's not a total abortion by the time I'm done with it. But I'm gonna try to get one here, one there, one on the other side. So, see what I come up with. Let's see, old glove versus bearing. See if we can push this in there. Old glove. Don't do me wrong, old glove, okay? Shit. This looks like it's working, Cletus. This looks like it's working a treat, Cletus. Shit. All right, let's see. Before you ask, why don't you just put a washer on there? I tried it. It'll fit in there, but it also, so it spaces out that ring too much if I have that steel washer there. And the hole right there with those threads doesn't line up with that hole with the threads to lock the hub in place. So, as you can probably tell, that's no good. So this leather, I think it does the trick. Now I'm just gonna make another one for the other side. I believe it's the same size. It should be. And yeah, I'm cooking with grease, baby. Man, that's nice. I might do a leather washer and that steel washer in the back because this is a castle nut and I can always put the cotter pin in a different spot, and I think I drilled it a little too far that way anyway, so I think I have space that it might work. All right, so I got leather washers on both sides of this, both sides of that. It should be good, I think. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Look at that. Cool. Definitely excited. All right, so I just recorded audio only of me soldering these connections on, and I'm kind of glad because it was a nightmare. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I got it to stick. I pulled on it and it didn't come off, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, I don't like soldering. I'm gonna take a picture of how I wired it because I guarantee I didn't do it correctly, but I'll just match the wires in the VFD. So now it is guard time. So yeah, sorry about that, but you're probably better off not watching that anyway. So Sheppy, we need hooks. We need hooks. We need hooks to hold up wire so it's not hanging off the ceiling. Just don't know why. Hey, Grabby. What are you doing? Hooks. Alright, back in the store, had some lunch. Now, see the haul from the stores. So we got paint stuff, got hardware, and we got a plug. So to find somebody that would tint Rust-Oleum, man, that took forever. But they're going to paint the power hammer. So I got another plug. This is to put back on the Pomax so I can use a Pomax again. These hooks are to hang, screw into the ceiling to hang the power cord for the power hammer, so it can kind of just hang down here, so when I need to plug it in I can just plug it right into there. I think it's long enough that I'll be able to do that. And lags, because I have to make some kind of bracketry. I was talking to Ken about it. That goes from here to this threaded rod here. So I'm going to take a piece of pipe, the thickest pipe I got that fits this threaded rod well, slide it over it, weld a piece of angle iron to it or something like that with a hole in it. Use the threaded rod. I'll use just one of the tiny ones that I bought. So that'll go into that bracket with a nut and a washer, and probably get welded to some sort of bracket with 4 holes or something, so I can drive those legs right into the wood. So that'll prevent these legs from kicking out or kicking in, because this machine obviously is very top heavy of the post. It's not a steel post filled with sand with a base on it. It's just the post. So if I took those legs out, it would probably rip those things from the wall, or pretty darn close to it, because there's only 2 screws in each. So I got to take all precautions, because anything can happen. I can be pushing a car back and not realize, just tired at the end of the day, hit the end of that, power hammer comes flying down. That's the last thing I want, because that probably ruins the tool, ruins a car. It's just a bad day all around. So I'm going to do everything to prevent that from happening. Okay, so obviously that's not gonna fly. I wanted a color that resembled Pettingale green after the Pettingale power hammers. The guy tried mixing it up 20 times, and this is the closest he could get. I just should have went somewhere else. But I figured, you know what? It might dry a little darker. And it looked alright when he kept wiping his thumb on a napkin. The way it dried on the napkin looked alright. No good. Looks like a toy. So, I'm going to have to change that. I'm going today. I think I'm just going to grab a little quart of hunter green and just pouring the whole thing in that gallon, seeing what happens. But right now, I have to end the video. I said there was going to be one part, but I got it up. I got it all together pretty much. It's running. So I'll just update you guys from here, obviously on the paint and so forth when it actually gets running. Because I have dies for it. I'll show you. I know I wanted this part to be short, but I got some dies. I got some shrinking dies, low crown dies, linear stretch die. I know they look really nice and shiny. Thanks, Wes. But I still need to go through them and make sure everything is good, and then I'll have them heat treated, and then I gotta fine tune them some more after that. So there's a lot to be done with the dies. I didn't just buy a set of dies. I bought a set of blanks, had them cut to the overall shape, and then I'm going to tune them in so they work for me. That's the way Steve did it, and I guess I'm doing it that way because he did it. I think it's actually the best way to do it because you get so familiarized with your tooling and how everything's working instead of just buying a set that's ready and using them. I can tune these to get the panel finish that I want. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I'd like it. I think it's cool. It's all right. Familiarizing myself with stuff. Being a true craftsman, as they say. But it's still a lot of work. And I really just want it right. I kind of wish I bought a set of dies, but at the same time, I'm going to be so much more fulfilled when I have a panel that has the finish I want, that looks like I pulled it right off the rack, and I tune those dies myself, and yada, yada, yada. So it's going to be a long kind of process finishing the tool, but it's up and running, and it's to a point where I can end the video, and I'll just add it in here and there when I do some stuff to it, and then I'll probably do a recap video afterwards. So it's this long-winded explanation. I'm sorry about that. And this video was long. It's probably an hour and a half. I do appreciate you watching the whole thing. If you did, if you didn't and you skipped to the end, shame on you. I'm just kidding. Thanks for liking, commenting, subscribing, clicking the bell, sharing the videos. I'll catch you on the next video.